let me preface what I have to say by saying that libertarianism, for me, and again, I'm heavily shaped by what goes on here in the United States under the name libertarianism. But I see fundamentally that the impulse behind libertarianism is anti-capitalist, is a kind of revulsion against the way this society is working. And I have many friends who describe themselves as libertarians, and that's where I get this idea. But, and here's my critique, they are anti-capitalist in their spirit, in their impulse, in some of their deepest feelings. But they have also got a contradiction I don't think they have faced, which is that they attach themselves to a fantastic concept of capitalism, in which the idea is almost as though we were back in the French Revolution or the American Revolution, that capitalism is the negation of feudalism, of an authoritarian society with rigid hierarchy, and that capitalism is the explosion away from all of that. That, like the French Revolution said, liberté, égalité, fraternité. And the American edition, democracy. Okay, that capitalism breaking away from feudalism is the bearer, is the partner, is the midwife of a transition to liberty, equality, fraternity, and democracy. They live with that idea, and they don't want to face the possibility that capitalism isn't the liberation from those old things, but is simply a new form of the same thing. So when I debate with them, I say to them, we agree master-slave is awful. We agree lord and serf is awful. But for me, employer and employee is the same basic division, and capitalism promised what it never delivered. It promised to be the agent of liberty, equality, fraternity, all the things you libertarian want, but it has never done it. And every time you talk about capitalism, you and I both know you're talking about what you would like capitalism to be, but not what it actually is. And you kind of half admit that with me, but you have a difficulty making the break. Let me urge you, and I say this half in humor, but half very seriously. Let me urge you to read Karl Marx. Why? Because Marx himself loved the slogan liberty, equality, fraternity. He was in love with the French Revolution. He wanted capitalism to bring those things. He believed in that, as did his whole generation. But he had the honesty to look around Germany, France, Belgium, and England in the middle of the 19th century, when capitalism was quite well established. And he was able to say, we have capitalism, but we don't have liberty, equality, fraternity, or democracy. None of it. And he devoted the rest of his life, in my judgment, to explaining why not. Why didn't capitalism deliver the very things libertarians celebrate? And his answer was that it continued an exploitative relationship in the core of production. It wasn't master-slave, it wasn't lord-serf, but he showed that employer-employee is once again the production of surplus by a large number of people and the gathering into their own hands of that surplus by a very small number of people. Therefore, capitalism is the obstacle to the realizations libertarians celebrate, and they just haven't yet gotten to the point of seeing it. But I would tell you that here in the United States, there is a good bit of conversation between those of us on the left like me and libertarians on the right, because we both suspect that as this capitalism continues its decline, we will have more and more opportunities to work together. Well, the first thing I can tell you is a good number of the people coming to us, and we now have about 20 groups around the United States in local places doing what we have been talking about for 5 years. We actually have organization everywhere. That many of the people coming to us are not coming in the traditional left mechanisms. They're not coming to us out of the trade unions. I mean, we have some like that, but a growing number are coming out of a, to be honest, libertarian framework in which they feel that what we represent is the notion of a workplace that will not be dictatorial, that will not be authoritarian, where every decision is one they really can participate in. You know, we are trying to take, if you like, the mantle of libertarianism, weave into it why it should and could and needs to be anti-capitalist, and then finish it off by saying, look, we're not just anti-capitalist, but we're in favor of a differently organized economic system which will more embody your values of individual liberty and difference and participation than anything that real capitalism has to offer.